Today is the winter solstice, commonly called Midwinter's Day, but actually the first day of winter, as the increasing cold temperature reveals to us. So, of course, being the beginning of the new astrological month, the month of Cancer, marks this particular solstice day. It's time to have a look at the month ahead for Cancerians and for all of you, but also starting with the month ahead for South Africa. Winter is, of course, a time when we kind of supposed to pull back and retreat, and apart from cuddle up and snuggle up, not much action is actually happening. And while at first glance that might seem true for the month ahead for South Africa, there is, as ever, lots of action happening behind the scenes and plenty enough to spill over as the month goes by. As we've seen in the yearly charts, in the post-election phase, the main focus of what's happening in this country is in fact what we aren't seeing, and that is the behind-the-scenes activity around the president. As we know, he is carefully stepping through a probable minefield of his supporters and detractors in his own party and in the party's NEC, where he has both of those pretty well represented. And it remains true that in his particular chart's case, there is a fair amount of warning and danger that things could go the wrong way. And I think he knows that, and that's probably why he is treading so carefully. Apart from with the president himself, there's other behind the scenes, as ever, stuff going on that is still working to our detriment. What that suggests is that things that we think have been sorted out, or things that we think have been fixed and are no longer acting corruptly, are not quite necessarily the case, because it seems still as if something is reaching ahead. At the very least, what's reaching ahead is amongst the people themselves. The tide of anger is growing. Interestingly, there is a configuration or two going on right now, which is increasing the anger and touchiness, not only here in South Africa, but pretty much a worldwide phenomenon. You yourself will notice it in your interpersonal affairs in the next couple of weeks, and might have already had the odd unnecessary conflict. In South Africa's chart, that particular conflict-filled configuration does show quite prominently, and shows a lot of tension escalating both in the government and its opposition and the people and kind of each other. So I think for winter we really need to chill out, because it's really just the kind of useless conflict that isn't achieving anything except perhaps to let off steam. Maybe another solution is we need to look for healthier ways to let off steam, to express our feelings, our frustrations, our anger, both in our country and with each other, and in our personal lives and with each other, because so much of the action is happening there. There is a lot of financial tension shown personally and nationwide for much of us, and the nationwide one is of concern. It doesn't look like we'll easily be able to get out of it, and in the month ahead there continue to be serious financial challenges with regards to state-owned enterprises. It seems as if a loan that we're expecting is still not coming through, or not coming through at all, or there is someone refusing to give us money or giving us less money than we thought. But whatever it may be, from the country's point of view, much less money is coming in. So that could have a very strong effect. But actually, since we're in a kind of behind-the-scenes winter period, the impact will be a little bit less than we think. Nevertheless, the rand will continue its wild roller coaster of up and down, going from one extreme of its margins at the moment to the other. So we can't wait for any stability on kind of what is the actual exchange rate. And really, it's also like the letting off steam. There seem to be things that need to come out into the open and get discharged so that we can finally move on and get with stuff. One of the opposition leaders, Julius Malema, might need to be learning that lesson too in the month ahead. In the previous months, in the last few months in the year, we've seen increasingly failed legal actions by the EFF, and most recently persisting through, insisting on trying to work around a refusal of an appeal just this last week. And from the chart's point of view, not even really talking about the EFF per se, it does look like the EFF leader, Julius Malema, is increasingly either being misled, advised incorrectly, or is going into an increasingly confused terrain. It's the beginning of a 12 to 18 month period in which we'll see increasing numbers of missteps by Mr. Malema that could have quite a strong effect on his party or on his other fortunes in the government. It's really just everyone working themselves out again and finding where they stand again, and in the case of Malema et al., doing a few stupid things along the way. In the case of the ANC around the president, doing a few dangerous things in the way, but all of those things being behind the scenes, meaning issues with the SOEs and financial matters otherwise haven't yet been resolved. There could be other issues with countries that are traditionally seen as friends. South Africa's image is taking a dent this month, and that could affect some of our international relationships. Well, doesn't look like there's that much good news. Even our sporting frontier doesn't look like it's improving over the not so great month of June. But it does look like this is a month where hard work will get everyone going, and perhaps in the end the result of things being so frustrated and blocked this month is that people will be looking for new strategies and realizing in government that they need to knuckle down and get working. Bottom line, in summary, we're expecting our new cabinet and our new government to get on with doing everything they promised to do and clearing up a lot of unfinished business now the election has happened. It doesn't look like it's happening yet. It's causing a lot of frustration. Open your eyes, guys. It's time to move forward with all those promises. In your personal horoscopes this month, Aries starts off being one of the gang that is in one of those very frustrated and potentially conflicting modes that is affecting so many people around the land at the moment. So Aries, you really need to look for where you can let off your frustrations in alternate ways, because conflict at this time is not getting you anywhere. You've reached an impasse or an equal state in any contests that are on the way. This is not a time to pursue them any further. In fact, Aries, you need to regroup. It looks like you're in a situation where your environment is no longer supporting where you're at, what you're trying to achieve, and what you're about. Some Aries, that'll actually mean you're going to end up making a big change or making a big move. And that is a good idea if indeed you find things aren't working out at all for you, because it's a little bit like you've exhausted the resources available to you where you are, and now you need to move on elsewhere. Don't rely on help from other people. It's not a good month for most of your interactions. So keeping to your own, keeping to close family, children, and people who are supportive around you. For the rest, you might find it's better not to get too engaged in other people's stuff, because they're increasing the sense of my space around me isn't perfect. Pull back to yourself and find a new space. Taurus, there's lots of interesting stuff on the go, and you probably even have a few plans and ideas about what you're going to be doing in the month ahead. But actually, it's probably not that. Yes, there's lots of stuff happening, but a lot of it isn't quite what you expected. It's cool. Go with it, roll with it. It remains interesting and important stuff that is probably going to add or improve other projects, other goals of your own as well. There's a lot of hard work involved, and that might also be in situations where it's pretty much thankless work. Got to be careful that that doesn't get you into a situation where you lose out or in some other way you suffer because you're working harder than you should. So you do need to make sure that you don't overdo it, but the truth is you will be being pulled in lots of different directions, and you might have to choose what is the important stuff to do right now. You know, from astrology's point of view, for you, this is a great time to be thinking out of the box with respect to that. You're going to be challenged to do new things, different things and to do old things differently. And that's how you can make your choices about all the stuff that's going on in your life. Choose what moves you forward. Be willing to let go of some older ways of doing things, older territories to play in. Opening up the new at the moment will open up your path. Gemini, in some ways, it's quite similar for you as it is for your Taurian next door neighbors. It's open up to new things, have a bit of fun, but be willing to go and work hard. Unfortunately, it's not going to be that easy because there do seem to be some problems coming from the people around you. You might find yourself in situations of arguments and where your opinion is not understood or accepted. You'll find yourself in lots of unnecessary wordplay and conversations are getting in the way of what you want. True, for some Geminis, it just means that this month you'll all talk and no action. Whichever of those kind of Geminis you are, you need to meet yourself somewhere in the middle and realize, I've got to act on new things, like Taurians is also true for you, but more importantly, there's lots of stuff to get done. I've got to just make sure I do it. So where you're finding any conflicts from other people or interactions and conversations, or if you're just all words and no action, the solution is find the practical stuff, stick to the most practical solutions right now, and like so many people, beware of getting engaged in too much argument and conflict. It's not going to serve you, and it's not going to serve your relationships. Relationships are a great place for you right now, Geminis, to actually put your energies to better use and not into any arguments. It's still very likely that you're going to get into them, so be sensitive and gentle in your relationship. Cancerians, there's a lot going on at home at the moment. There's a lot that's pushing at you from all different directions. It has been like that in preceding months, and you might be concerned that I'm going down that road I've gone before. The truth is there could be a bunch of unfinished business from last time that still needs to happen to get resolved. And it could also just be that it just happens to be one of those times when things are adding up and you're beginning to feel it's all too much. It's likely that there are financial ups and downs or financial challenges of some kind that are making you feel extra sensitive, and personal life or home life is just adding to the mix and it's all a little bit too much. It's that same realm of life where you can find your best solution. Your relationship could also be your refuge right now, but there's stuff that you need to sort out in order to do that. The easiest thing to do, most practical thing to do, is address how your financial concerns are affecting your relationship. Speak to your partner or your children, whoever it is, around those things. Don't come from a position of vulnerability or sensitivity as if to say, you're using all my money. It's not about that. It's just, let's be clear on where those boundaries are. Let's try and stay in control of other things, and your personal life will also feel under control. Leo, right now there are still things from June that need to be finished up, but basically this is a month of lots of hard work in the month ahead, with not as much to show for it perhaps as you're expecting. And it's important not to get too caught up into thinking something's wrong or thinking it's not working because you're not seeing the results that you're expecting. Truth is, some of the results aren't coming in, and some of the results are going to be other than expected, or more so that it's going to be difficult either to get other people to see your results or to have them have the impact that you want them to have. And it just is a matter of time. You need to carry on with the hard work, but you also need to have some clear boundaries so that you don't get yourself into a situation where you feel that you've been making any sacrifices. Luckily, help is on the way. Although there are some frustrations and work is just knuckle down and do it, if you make time for your personal life, there's lots of support from friends, people close to you, people that you've known for a very long time, especially friends. Time spent with someone you're close to, time having fun with those kind of people is going to be a good balance for all the work that's feeling a little bit thankless elsewhere. Also, just take care of health at the moment. Not a good time for you to be overdoing anything or overindulging, because that's like, it adds to the workload. Give yourself a break. Virgos get to go far and wide this month. Hopefully that means in the way of travel, if you're one of the luckier kinds of Virgos. But it really means you need to go beyond your usual boundaries or limits. It's not really about thinking out of the box so much as finding alternate solutions or alternate sources of solutions from what you're used to. So in that sense, you're going to have to be maybe a little bit beyond your comfort zone in some way. You're also going to have to negotiate a bunch of stuff. Things won't come easily unless you negotiate and unless you listen very carefully and kind of make sure that you're hearing your partner's language. It's a little bit like there is confusion or cloudiness and you're not really understanding and making yourself understood. That could also affect other areas of your life as well. So it's kind of a month about communication, and communication both has the potential this month to bring new resources, avenues and leads into your professional life as well as in your personal life, maybe resolve some of the cloudiness, confusion and the consequences it's been having. There's a strong potential for conflict in your personal life with a friend or someone close to you or with your partner, and you really need to take a deep breath and rather than stand on a high horse and think that you're right, because this is the kind of conflict that can have unnecessary collateral damage. Just breathe. Libra is all systems go this month. You're one of the few that has a fairly clear path ahead of you and you can go and meet those goals. Your professional life is going to succeed the most from that, and that's especially if you're in one of the classical Libra professions involving the arts or dealing with people and social matters. Those are typically the Libran kinds of things. There are opportunities to get help, to get new people working for you, to get people doing favors for you. That's all great, although there somehow seems to be a strong inclination for you to be putting your shoulder to the wheel and really working hard at the moment. Also great, but don't be stupid about it. Since there's so many people willing to help you, why not step a little bit back and enjoy some of what all that help is all about? It is true that there's also a sign that something offered to you this month turns out not to materialize or not to be as good as it seems. So don't get overexcited about something. Still look very carefully. Don't get on a high by all the assistance that's coming your way. Be a little bit skeptical, and like that you'll make sure that only the good things are due for you this month. Scorpio, at the moment there seems to be a bit of a conflict between what you need and how you're going about getting it. It might sometimes feel like a conflict between what you need and what's available to you. Either way, something needs to be compromised or resolved. It's a great opportunity this month to revisit some of your ideals and let some of them go. This is a time where you can also cross some things off the list that just aren't working, rather than hanging on to them for too long. Some of that might also be true in your personal life or other where you are depending or interacting with other people. There's some people around you who are leaving the scene at this time. That could be also because of misunderstandings or other kinds of conflict that is really the theme of a lot of people this month. So since many other of the signs of the zodiac are showing conflict, who they're having conflict with, well, seems like you're one of those. So sticking to your own self and revisiting your own goals and ideals and focusing your own energies on that rather than anything you might depend on from anyone else around you is going to get you a lot further to pursuing your ideals, especially the ones that are more personal than professional. So be a little bit selfish. We often talk about how Sagittarians love to travel and go and have exciting adventures and all sorts of new places, and all of that is of course true, but one of the ways we might want to put that this month is to say you need to be getting away from it all. So it's not just about adventuring to new places, it's about clearing your space. This is a time where you need to be spending time alone, hopefully being able to get away from it all, but more importantly just kind of clearing your space of everyone's energy and how they've been around you. They're not major signs of conflict for you, in fact quite to the contrary. It looks like there could be really pleasant relationships going on, but some of that is also going to be too much of a good thing. So keep those relationships healthy by keeping them in smaller doses at the moment. Sagittarians also love the philosophical side of life and the abstract spiritual or other grand ideas, and this is a great time to be indulging your own interests, not only spending time alone, but maybe reading about stuff, or wherever you are spending that time alone, making sure you give yourself some of the quality of challenging ideas that Sagittarians really love, because it's likely that you can find something you've been looking for, fulfill something for yourself. It's a month to do the things you love the most, even if they're not consequential anywhere else in your life. Capricorns, although you will be feeling still some of the frustration and one step forward, one step back, that much of the last couple of months has all been about, you are making clear progress, as you have seen in the last few months. It's a time with your planet Saturn, your ruling planet Saturn, strong in your sign, where Capricorns are making progress, manifesting the things they've been looking for. And this is one of those months where you really need to act on that. As much as there is frustration, it's acting on things that you've been waiting for a long time, or working on for a long time. Also a month to be taking responsibility or acting with leadership and responsibility, even if it means having to put your foot down and play the bad cop. Capricorn, you can be quite intimidating in a conflict situation. You are one of those signs that could be engaging in some of the frustrated personal interaction that seems to be plaguing so many of us this month. So, like everyone else, this is a time when concentrating on your own stuff doesn't really need to be about butting heads against other people. It's mostly about you taking charge of what you're capable of. Easy for Capricorns, this is a month where you need to step into your shoes, say, this is who I am, this is what's happening, this is what I'm going to do. It's kind of take it or leave it, but rather just keep it to your own mission. Aquarians also have many opportunities to put their foot down and their other foot first and put themselves first during the course of this month, and it's going to feel quite easy to do that. Aquarians are going to be feeling ready to move forward, ready to get on top of stuff, and ready to face things that haven't been so great in the last few months. Great news is that you're going to succeed with those intentions. It's a very good month for tying up unfinished business and getting those kind of things done, as well as getting more selfish personal needs done instead of juggling what everyone wants or what the group wants, which has been on and off for a while. So that might mean that you'll be spending more time solo this month, not something that bothers Aquarians too much, although anywhere where you're relying on other people means that's not going to work very well for you as well. People could be letting you down, even just not pitching up. So Aquarians, sticking to your own vibe, because this is a month when you're going to get the most done. There also seem to be bigger dreams that you've been working on, and working towards some kind of ideal. It doesn't have to be a lifelong one, an earth-shattering one, but it seems that something you've been wanting for a long while, wishing for a long while, working towards, is beginning to take shape. Keep at it and it becomes real. You know, if you've been paying attention to what's happening for everyone else this month, they all sound like they are in one big fight of some kind. Pisces, step away from that action. It's not for you, and luckily for you, it's not about you, and it's going to affect you adversely. So while everyone is dealing with each other and figuring out their boundaries, you really need to get away from it all. Spend time traveling, doing your own thing, and most importantly, this is a month when you can concentrate on things that you love and things that you get pleasure from. That includes both your personal goals and creative things and things that you love to do, as well as your relationships. It's an excellent month for indulging in putting relationship goals before personal goals, and for indulging your partner in some way. That's going to be an investment that really pays off at this time. The only snag for you to look out for is overindulgence. Too much of a good thing and too much of sweet stuff might be a challenge for you at this time, Pisces. So good to get on top of lifestyle and health, because things are working for you. You can make it last. Well, it does look like those difficult configurations are taking a bite out of us all. Take it easy, and I'll see you next week at the usual time.